to piano lesson number 5. Okay, today I'm going to be talking about sheet music, reading notes. We touched a little bit on time signatures and note values in the previous lesson. So if you haven't watched that, try to go check that out. This lesson I'm going to be talking about how all the names on the staff, not all of them I guess, because there's 88 or more. But I'm going to get into a basic general idea of how to find the notes on the staff, what different clefs are called, and certain things like that. So, this is going to be the meat and potatoes of learning to read the sheet music. So, get ready. It's not that hard though, it's pretty easy. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is look at the two types of clefs, because each hand or whatever is sort of divided into a clef or whatever. Now, this isn't always the case. Most of these things I'm telling you aren't always true, except for the notes on the staff. Those are always going to be the same. But like right hand playing the treble clef, left hand playing bass clef, stuff like this, like different rules might change because in more advanced stuff. But for right now and for quite far into the future, I'm just going to give you basic, just this is how it is, this is how it is, this is how it is, in blunt terms, so that there's some set rules, and that way it gives you guys some sort of like solid foundation to work off of. Okay, so the first thing is, there's two main clefs. Now there are more, but I'm not going to get into them. These are the two basic clefs, and you'll probably only ever use these. If you use other ones, it's going to be way down the road. Okay, so the first one I'm going to look at here is the treble clef. So it's called the T-R-E-B-L-E. It's called treble clef. Clef, as in both of these are clefs, and it's sort of like a sign that tells you which clef it is, and it changes the way the notes are. You'll see in a minute. Okay, so the right hand goes with the treble clef, and the left hand goes with the bass clef. Okay, so right hand treble clef, left hand bass clef. So the bass clef looks sort of like, it sort of almost looks like an ear, with two dots floating in space beside the ear, or whatever else you might think. Anyway. So the bass clef just has a little dot, a big dot here, and then it swoops down, and then two little dots here. Okay? Now, the treble clef, it sort of has a dot, and it goes up, this long stem, and then it swivels down. Okay? So treble clef right hand, bass clef left hand. So you can do exercises like ask your friends. It's like you guys can work together or something if you have a partner, and you can be like, what's the bass clef? And someone else can say left hand, and then someone else is like, well, what's left hand? Bass clef. So you kind of you test yourself and whatnot. Or you can test yourself instead of each other. Okay, so that's bass clef, left hand, right hand is treble clef. That's basically it. Those are the two clefs. Wow, hey? It's pretty easy. Okay, now, these clefs have to go on something so that you know what notes to play. Okay? Now, they have to go on something called a staff. Okay? A staff is comprised of 5 lines. I should have probably written this out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 lines. Okay? Always 5 lines. And there's 4 spaces. Okay? So this is the top space, and that's the bottom space. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now, I didn't really write this out in any particular order, so don't ask me, why did you write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 up? I don't know why I did that, I just did, okay? Okay, so there's 4 spaces, that's the point I'm trying to make here. There's 4 spaces and there's 5 lines, okay? Now, depending on which clef we stick, like if I had a pasting thing and I'm like, and I stuck it there, all these note names would be a certain, like all these lines would have certain note names. Like if I had a treble clef here, this space here would be an F, that'd be an A, that'd be a C, that'd be an E. But if I took the bass clef and put it there, this would be an A, that would be a C, that would be an E, and that would be a G. So it all changes. So these clefs sort of set the rules for which notes are where. Okay? So it's really important that you have a good concept of what these clefs do. So they basically set the rules for that staff. Okay? And they determine. A staff by itself can't tell you what notes there are because the notes are indeterminate without a clef to tell you what they are. Does that make sense? Okay. So that's the clefs for now. Now, let's move on. Okay, guys. So now, I'm going to point out a couple things here. I have written all the basic note names and the sayings that go with them to remember them for the treble clef and the bass clef. Now, I've written them on something called the grand staff. Now, see this brace here? That's what it's called. It's called a brace. So, whenever you see this, that means that they want this and this together. So it's played as one. Or in other words, hands together. The right hand here and the left hand here. So whenever these notes are going to go together. If you don't see the brace and then this is all broken off here and you just see one here and then one there, that means it's one line of music going to the next line of music. Okay? So without this brace, this is what joins it together and shows you that this is one line of music instead of two. Okay? So time goes by the whole thing this way. So that's called the grand staff. It has two staffs, okay, together. So the right hand and left hand. Now, the central point to all of this mayhem, which I will explain, don't worry, is middle C. So middle C is in the smack dab middle of everything. So think of this little section here as a road. And then we've got the center lines of the road. You know how there's broken lines on the road? So think of the first line as middle C all the time. So if you see one line floating in the middle here, it can be actually up to the top, closer to the treble clef, or to the lower down to the bottom. That doesn't matter. All they're trying to do is tell you to play middle C with your right hand or play middle C with your left hand. That's all they're trying to do. So if you see one line, that's the important thing, is one line. Not two lines or three lines, one line. If you see one line, and then the circle or the note going through it, this is a whole note, by the way, I've drawn, just to be simple. That is middle C all the time. And anything above middle C goes into the treble clef, anything below middle C goes into the bass clef, okay? So middle C is sort of where they come together and they join. So it goes by the alphabet. So as you go up, C goes to D, which would go to E, to F, A, B, just like that. So it'd be C, D, E, F, G, and then A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Just keeps going up. So the spaces are a note and the lines are a note. So the line note here, that's what it's called. It's called a line note. Middle C is on a line note. And then D would be on a space note because it has no line. It's just in the middle. It's in between the two lines. That's another note. That's D. Then we go to E, which is on this line. And then F, which is on the space. And then we go to the next line, and that's G. And then we go to the next space, and that's A. And it goes up and up and up. And if you go down, you're going backwards in the alphabet. So this way you're going forwards in the alphabet. This way you're going backwards in the alphabet. So this would be G, F, E, D, C. So we're at middle C. Now below that, one backwards would be B, and then A, and then G, and then F, and then E, and then D, and then C. It just keeps going down, 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 down. Okay? So, that's how this sort of works. Now, if you actually took this whole thing and you turned it this way, it would actually make more sense. Okay? Watch this. This goes with my right hand and this goes with my left hand. As I go this way, I go up on the piano. Because this is one key, this would be the next key, that would be the next key, the next key, the next key, the next key. Watch this. So I'm at C. I'm at D, I'm at E, F. So see how it goes up and down like that. And this is my right hand and this is my left hand. So as I go right, I'll go up, and as I go left, I'll go down. So that's an easy way to look at it and to make sense of it. Music would be simpler if it was like this. But some guy, like, 500 years ago decided, oh, let's do it this way. And 500 I'm using very loosely. Okay? Okay, so think of it like that, okay? You can turn your music that way and check it out. I suggest you do that actually, it's a pretty good exercise. Okay, but this is the way you actually look at music. Okay? Alright, so just keep that in mind. Up is to the right, down is to the left. Alright, so now, the first thing you want to do is memorize, once you know the keys, so this middle C here is going to be the middle C on the piano. Now, if say you wanted to play this F here, it would just be the first F above middle C, which would be this one right there. Now if you wanted to play this G here, it'd be the first G below middle C. That'd be this one right there. Now, this is a C as well. So it would be the first C below middle C. That's right there. Okay? So you just have to sort of look at it that way. Now, we have little sayings, or I have little sayings that we basically use to figure out, to remember how all these things work. So that's what's up next. So now we're going to do sayings. So saying, the sayings for the spaces in the right hand, or the treble clef, the spaces actually spell out the word F-A-C-E, which is face. So if you can remember face the spaces. Then, I don't know why I did this. What am I doing, like milking a cow? Who knows? Anyway, so F-A-C-E. That's how that works. So that's how you would remember the spaces in the treble clef. Just remember face. F-A-C-E. So it just goes up in that order, and it always goes up like that. Okay, so those are the spaces for the treble clef. Now, the spaces for the bass clef. Unfortunately, A-C-E-G doesn't spell a word. It would be like A-S-G, which doesn't really make any sense. So, I have this little saying that I use. I didn't invent it. I have no idea who did. I don't think it's on record for who did, so yeah. Anyway, so it goes by the saying, all for A, cows for C, eat for E, and G for grass. Or I guess I should say grass for G. So it's all cows eat grass. Moo. Moo, moo. I told my students, I had this little girl and she couldn't remember it, and then I'm like, all cows eat rocks. And she's like, oh, cows don't eat rocks, they eat grass. And then I'm like, good. So remember that. It's all cows eat grass. And after that, she seemed to be able to remember it because I made this really weird mental image in her mind of cows chewing rocks. And that would kind of, I don't know, that really wouldn't work too well in the digestive system. And I wouldn't really want to see that coming out on the other end either. Oh man, that'd be painful. Okay. Now back onto this. Okay, so all cows eat grass. That's basically how you remember the spaces. Now what you want to do first is you test yourself on these sayings first. Ask yourself, okay, what are the spaces for the bass clef? What are the spaces for the treble clef? Once you know those, then you actually want to go and you want to memorize like one or two so that as soon as you look at it, you instantly know that the note, so you don't have to count up or down. But this is like the fail-safe mechanism that you can always rely on, okay? That's how this works. So you just always rely on this, and that's how it's going to work. So learn this first, and then you want to memorize each note. So you could do 3 a day, and then what? Probably within a week or two, you would have every single note memorized. So it really doesn't take long. Like I have kids knowing all the notes note names in about a week or two, and they can figure it out themselves. And then it takes, I don't know, maybe a month or so, and they get fast at sight reading, fast. Okay. So you can do flashcards, and you can do, there's flashcards on the internet. I think there's Piano Nanny or other different sites that you can go to that allow you to do flashcards, or you can go buy some. Now, those are the spaces for each clef. So spaces for treble is face, and spaces for bass clef is all cows eat grass. Now, the lines for the treble clef go like this: E, G, B, D, F. And that is, every good boy deserves fudge. Yes, I'm glad I'm a boy, and I'm glad I'm a good boy. Ah, where's my fudge now? Yay! Yay! No. I'm not a boy anymore. And I like chocolate more than fudge. And I like strawberry more than chocolate. Anyway. But there's no S key, so it's like all good boys deserve strawberries, or every good boy deserves strawberries. Anyway, doesn't matter. So it's every good boy deserves fudge. That's what we're learning here. That's for the treble clef lines. So every good boy deserves fudge. Got that? Okay, let's move on. Now, people are going to ask, why didn't I just say good here? I used a different word. I used green. Now, why did I use green? Because it paints a more vivid image in your mind, and vivid, crazy images tend to stick better than like dull, boring ones. Like, hello, my name is Andrew. I like, I don't like teaching piano. Who am I kidding? I like piano. What are you looking at? Let's learn piano. Gladly, that's like happily, that's not actually how I feel about piano. I love it. I love music, and I like teaching it. So it's not hard for me to get up in the morning and teach piano. Okay, now, so the lines on the bass clef go G, B, D, F, A, which I did in my old reshoot of this video. Gabudaffa. Goodbuffa. Goodbuffa. Okay, it doesn't actually make a word. Okay, so the saying that I've come up with is, green birds don't fly away. That's kind of nice, isn't it? Green birds don't fly away. So think of a little green bird down here on this line, and this line isn't a line anymore. It's a stick. It's a branch, and the bird's like tweet, 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 tweet. Oh, I'm not going to fly away because I'm a green bird. Tweet, 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 tweet. Okay, so green birds don't fly away. So there's my quick recap here. So my quick recap goes face for the spaces in the treble clef, all cows eat grass for the spaces in the bass clef, every good boy deserves fudge for the spaces in the treble clef, and green birds don't fly away for the spaces or the lines in the bass clef. Okay? Now, there's only one thing left. Okay, so the last thing that we have to do is, it's going to be something called ledger lines. Okay? Now, you'll probably see this soon in music. They come out pretty often, and people get scared from them, and there's really no reason to. Think of a ledger line as someone taking a ladder to extend something. Like say you've got this room here, or a house, and you just stick a ladder in there and you want to get to another floor or something like that. I guess that doesn't even make any sense. I guess it's too late. What time is it anyway? Oh, it's 2:30 in the morning. Sweet. Anyway. Okay, so I just laugh at how late I get. I stay up doing stuff like this. I'm weird. I couldn't just get up early in the morning and do this. I have to do it late at night. Or really early. Anyway. Okay, so a ledger line is an extension. So as you can see, so say we go F, A, C, E, and then there's F. And then F is the top line here. Okay, so how high up is that on the piano? So if this is middle C, so that's F right there, because I went past the first C and I got to F, and that would be stopping. Now, as you can see, we're here. That's not all the keys in the piano, is it? There's still all these. So where do we fit them in? Well, they're not as commonly played, so we don't draw out all the lines unless we're actually going to use them. So there's ledger lines. They are just lines that float in space, and basically this line here is almost as if there's a whole line added onto it. You just keep counting up, and you can place a note in between. Okay, so the hard part about them is since they're just floating there, people can have a hard time reading, and you usually have to count up to memorize, to figure out what note you are. And I still have to count up if they're really high. If they're really high notes, I actually have to count up. So I'm like, no, counting them. Because I just haven't bothered to memorize the ones that are way, way up there. Because you hardly ever see them. Okay, now, these ones though, the first three are worth memorizing because one, it's easy to memorize, and two, they're used quite often. Usually you won't see anything past the second ledger line. Sometimes you'll see the third ledger line. And more rarely, but still not that unoften, you'll see like the fourth and the fifth ledger line used, but usually nothing past that. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to just remember this pattern, ACE, A-C-E. Okay, so ACE, think of them as like aces, as they're like fighter pilot aces, and they're just like, yeah, Roger, bravo, we're going to go in for the bombing room now. Oh look, we've got a dogfight going on. Anyway, so just think of them as like flyers, they're aces. Now they're in the sky, or whatever, right? They're not just whatever. They're just out there. They're floating. So A-C-E, ace, okay? Now, what you're going to do is the ace comes, it just lands this way, and you're going to get A first, and then C, and then E. So C is in the middle. This is the important thing. Okay, C is in the middle. Now look down here. I don't know, can you see that? Aha. So you couldn't see the A. Anyway, down here, okay, so down here, it's A, C, E. But which one comes first? The E is the first ledger line here, and the A is the first one here. The C is the second one here, and the C is the second one there. So anytime there's two ledger lines in either direction, the second one is C. So use that as your kind of home base. Always remember, second ledger line is C. Okay? This one's A. So what you can do is you can just take these first three chunk and just remember that either way, it's always in that order. But from here, the top ones, so the top part of ace is attached to the bass clef, and up here, the bottom part of ace is attached to the treble clef. So it's the same pattern, but it just moved. Okay, that's it. Okay, so that is my lesson on reading sheet music. So what I want you to do, learn all these note names, the phrases, and everything, and remember that these are ledger lines. This is called staff. Together it's called the grand staff. This is a treble clef, this is a bass clef. The right hand plays this one, the left hand plays this one. This is middle C. This is where the staffs join up. And you can actually find the ledger lines in the middle as well. So that if you wanted a C down here, if they wanted a left hand person, like say you're playing stuff way up high and they want the left hand to play like this F here, what they'll do is they'll draw one line for middle C, another line for this line, and then they'll put a note on top of that. And I'll be stretching into here, but it's actually written as a line, and then another ledger line, which would actually just be this line, and then they'll just put the note, and it'll be as if it was there. Okay? Anyway, hopefully that's all helpful. So study this really well, and I'll take another picture of this as well, and you guys can dissect it, and practice it. Okay? It doesn't take very long if you're willing to just focus on it and really get it learned. Okay? It doesn't take longer than 2 weeks. 2 weeks you'll have it and you'll know it. Okay? Alright, take care.